The Romans would suspend democracy and appoint one man to protect the city. And it wasn't considered an honor, it was considered a public service.
Harvey, the last man that they appointed to protect the Republic was named Caesar, and he never gave up his power.
Okay, fine. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
We should probably get into the real meat and potatoes of why we're here, which is, and I'm going to cut right to the chase, this is not a bit, this is not a joke. Michael and I are here to announce that Smiling Friends will be ending after Season 3 is done.
To be perfectly honest, after we finished Season 3, Zach and I just both had the same feeling where we feel pretty burnt out after putting years and years into this, but also pretty accomplished. Like, we just came to this feeling where we're like, I think that could just be it after Season 3, and yeah, we both felt like it was right.
Hello, welcome to Hello Retrospective, where we look rather fondly at a show that we really like called Smiling Friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty obvious coming from you, Nat, since you dressed up as one of the characters from the show.
And then play Valagaren for the PS2. Oh no, this is too much. I've been doing this maybe like 5 years, and this is the most insane person I've ever met.
So did you. We both reiterated one particular scene together. You'll know which one we're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, Alan, hello. Fancy running into you here.
Oh, hi, Mr. Landlord.
I was just wondering if you wanted to hang out with me and smoke weed and fill our bellies with diet soda and play Burnout Revenge for the PS2.
No thanks. I have to go to work.
Suit yourself!
This was a show made by Zach Cato, Michael Cusack, who both started off as YouTubers, actually, as far back as what people call the Newsground days, where they made these very basic animations and kept developing it from there. Very comedic stuff, and then gradually they got popular enough, and then they did a collaboration with Adult Swim, this show, which was basically the culmination of their work, and they've been doing that throughout the good bulk of as far as we're aware, the 2020s up until now, because recently they announced that Smiling Friends would be ending after Season 3, but they've got at least 2 more episodes to work on as of recording this, and then they'll be done. So a lot of people are saying, oh no more Smiling Friends, but at the same time, in their own words, they said it themselves, right from the beginning, we wanted it to reach its peak and then just end it there.
I mean, even from the very, very beginning of the show, we always said, oh man, how great would it be to, like, you know, really try to make the show as good as it could be and really put 110% into it, and then go out what feels like on top. It just feels like, and you know, like you said, we were really, after several years of really, really grinding on this show nonstop without any breaks, 24/7, we got to a point where we just felt like that's a good spot to end it.
Yep.
And we wouldn't want to be doing more seasons with like half-hearted, like with half, you know, or burnt out or not feeling it. And that's not fair to us, and it's not fair to the audience to give you guys fucking slop. That's not really, that sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And people might wonder, you know, we could give it to other people to run it, like another show, like all these other shows that run for ages, but I don't know, it just feels too weird. It's not that type of show. It's so, from Zach and I, like, from the scripts, from it, like, all of it, we're so control freaky over it. So
yeah, and it wouldn't be the same show. It's just not that kind of show. It's not built like that.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, well, obviously a bit more abruptly than they probably already planned in that, but nonetheless, in that, that's, I'd say 3 seasons is quite sort of decent enough in that, it would be a shame that if it were the case in that those 3 seasons were written that were very properly closing off the show and that with like a proper sort of finale, but
yeah,
obviously time will tell.
Yeah, at the very least. I remember watching Season 3 and I was watching with a friend of mine, and he kept saying throughout our watch time, "Bring back the landlord! Bring back the landlord!"
Yeah. They definitely need to bring him back.
They need to bring him back for at least one of the last 2 seasons, even just for one little joke or something.
I mean, they kind of have to because like he's got his unfinished business as well.
Exactly. I love how when he somehow survives piercing himself, he gets up. He doesn't threaten to harass his family. He doesn't threaten to kill him. No, he's threatening that he will hang out with him again. Alright, I suppose we should probably describe what the premise of Smiling Friends is in the first place. The premise of, if you don't know, Smiling Friends is, the premise of Smiling Friends, it's about the titular charity group, which consists of a few fairly unusual characters, Charlie, Pim, Alan, and Glep, and they're run by their manager, boss, who's literally called Mr.Boss. And he hires them to do some social work for people, go to different people, make them smile. That's it. That's the premise. The madness comes from everything else.
Yeah. Like I always thought of like I always thought of sort of Pip and Charlie, and that like their roles in that is more sort of akin to like sort of social workers.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that that their purpose is to make people smile and that.
Yes.
And, kind of.
So what's got you down today, sir?
I can't see anything.
Have you tried just moving your hands away from your eyes?
I can see.
Well, some cases give people kind of like sort of purpose in their lives and that.
Absolutely. The first episode literally begins with Charlie and Pim being hired by Mr. Boss to greet a mother's son, who turns out to be this adult man who's like, very middle-aged and is constantly pointing a gun to his head, regardless of where they are. And no one in society seems to bat an eye at that. He's just constantly got like a constant characteristic, but not until the end of the episode where they come back after trying, but then Alan, through shenanigans, gets invaded by these little purple thingies, and then he starts to shoot them.
My
I just wanted my cheese.
And then he just suddenly shoots one, and then he says, Frau, God. That's so grin, and then that's how he finds his motivation to start a business. Through murder.
That felt good. Blibbly infestation. Luckily for you, there's Desmond's Blibbly control.
And of course, we forgot to mention Alan and that, of course, and of course Glip and that no one's quite sure what his role is. Not even Mr. Boss.
Even though in the last episode, we finally find out what Glep's role is. As he's sitting there in the beanbag, just looking at brain rot. It turns out, after he gets sent away, it turns out Glep is the very reason Smiling Friends exists in the first place. Yeah. He's actually a thousand or so years old, and he's been with us since like ancient Rome, and he's caused some of the greatest catastrophes, not on purpose apparently, but just by being himself. What do you have to say for yourself? What is that? What is this madness? It makes me mad! And then the fall of Rome happens.
Yeah.
We saw you turn milk into yogurt. You're a witch. What do you have to say to yourself? He accidentally spreads the Black Plague in response. And then, as he's telling the story, like, people get shocked, and we get to see that one running gag randomly rotoscoped guy that, what's wrong with you? Why would you be doing that? Everyone, hands together, pray for those victims. That's another thing about this show. There's a whole myriad of animation styles at play. Like, there's no strict rules when it comes to visuals. It's just whatever makes you laugh. That's the visual keyframe.
Yeah, in some ways in that, it kind of sort of like share parallels to sort of the magical world of Gumball and that.
Right, yeah.
Sort of uses sort of variety of different sort of like art styles. But I'd see with I'd see with like Smell and Friends and that it's more sort of consistent whilst using like sort of more sort of like different effects and that to sort of emphasize sort of like more sort the more trippier but sort of like environments, particularly like this in season 3 and that where Charlie ends up being sick and that, and he has like that wild sort of like trip and that, no better word for it. And
Yeah,
where it just uses crazy amount of art styles and that to really. I tell you something, like Evo wouldn't necessarily say that I sort of experienced like the trippiest stuff like Charlie had when he was sick, and that they really do. It really does give off the impression of like what it feels like to be sick and that.
Especially when you juggle something. Basically, it turns out that in that episode, Charlie accidentally infected himself with some kind of parasite kebab.
Yeah.
And when he got the operation, the doctor decided to keep the parasite as a pet. And there may be a parasite in Charlie's penis as a result.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crazy shenanigans that happens, and yeah, they get really creative with their animation. I mean, obviously, on the surface level, it seems fairly basic enough, like something no different. I mean, it's television animation. Of course, it's going to be lower budget, unless it's a high budget animated series like Violet Evergarden. But it seems basic enough, like what you see on the internet or whatnot. But there's certain moments where you think, oh wow, they've actually gone above and beyond for certain parts. Like aforementioned trippy parts, or some parts where they just randomly rotoscope a few characters or a few scenarios, like one scene where Mr.Boss is glad to hear that Pim acted like Super Monkey Ball, and they just randomly get to rotoscope and go like, bro, I liked it. that's nice. They went out of their way to rotoscope the motion of that. And some character animations, like some of the characters are stop motion, and in season one, there's a plagiarized Hobbit character, like Rankin Bass Hobbit. Like they're not even trying to make it blend with the art style. It's just a Rankin Bass Hobbit.
Yeah, you do sort of like get some of their sort of the elements of like their sort of times and that when they're sort of did like sort of gaming content on YouTube and that, and like and movies and so on.
Right. And if you're familiar with these specific people online, I mean, I admit I haven't been keeping up with them prior to this show. It wasn't until after the show I thought, wow, Zach can actually reach that pitch of a voice. Oh wow.
Yeah.
You'll recognize just how wild some of the voices can get, because a lot of the vocal talent comes from mainly Zach and Michael and the friend Oni plays, and as well as a myriad of guests. Although, to my surprise, I thought Michael was doing the more crazy of characters, given how Zach has this very distinct, nasally kind of voice. But I was surprised to learn that, no, Zach's the one doing the goblin-y kind of voices.
Yeah.
And as well as some other gags, like this one yellow bird that just goes,
and I always like the sort of I'm not sure if he did the voice in that, but I always like the voice of the sort of the grandma in that she finds me on that and goes, hey, my grandson. We get like a piece of candy.
Delicious candy.
Suit yourself.
She is having way too much fun with that piece of candy.
Yeah.
And it's the little characteristics, like, it's like adds to the comedy, like the unnecessary exaggeration of certain words. It's just randomly shouting, and then and he also applies that to the landlord character with unnecessary exaggeration.
Well, it's funny in some ways that that the show's wrapping up as it is, and that I do kind of get this distinct feeling that there were if it weren't for the fact that they're abruptly cut off from doing any other seasons, that I feel like that it definitely feels like in some ways that it would, if it weren't for the fact that they're abruptly ended, and the whole series would have ended fairly soon anyways, and that particularly since it feels like with the last episode involving Mr. Frog and that, another sort of like current character in the show, and that it kind of feels like he's sort of like already sort of like completed his arc, as it were.
Yeah.
With the final episode.
Yeah, he agrees that there's nothing more they could do with Mr. Frog. He's reached enlightenment after the spirit fly has had problems with a low-running computer.
Yeah.
that was another guy that made me really laugh. And then Mr. Frog reaches for the fly to reach enlightenment and purpose. We get a brief flashback all throughout his life, including one snapshot where he's on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah. and like involved with that sort of Epstein and that.
And then after all that, not finding fulfillment in taking over the world, just leaving America to worship a peanut.
Yeah.
And then after all that, he finds fulfillment in just being a regular frog, and then just saying, goodbye.
That's it. But like with Mr. Frog in general, that I always sort of say to myself that that he's one of my favorite characters in the show. But at the same time, I wouldn't even dare to think of sharing the same room with him.
Yeah,
because he is just like, I think he's legitimately the most terrifying character in the show. Because like when you think about it, like not only is he like incredibly strong, but he's like extremely fast. like I mean, he would legitimately give superheroes for a run, and especially considering that he managed to wipe out the entire UFC scene that by not even doing anything.
Yeah. So, I mean that's part of the show's humor. It's that sometimes you have characters who, for no explainable reason, go at supersonic speeds. Yeah. You know, like one hidden background character, or a few just go like, or someone barks something out, and then it'll just go, or other people just go at some rapid speeds, or one character will greet another character, welcome to our village.
Yeah.
But with Mr. Frog, there's a bit more explained as to why he's so super fast. Like when we first introduced him, we just see nothing, and then you just see. I'm Mr. Frog. The silly thing.
Mr. Frog, this mushroom.
I am the bug. I am the bug. This is the end. I love you. Wow.
Yeah.
So Mr. Frog is just very, very compulsive, and if you actually listen to behind the scenes commentary from Zach and Michael, apparently their idea was to make him a demon, which is why he's so strong and so fast. But at the same time, he has this human frog dad.
Yeah.
And when he takes over the world, instead of going further with it, he just gets depressed and stops and starts to try to seek meaning and fulfillment. There's just enough sympathy for Charlie and Pim to want to help him, to try to help him out.
Yeah.
But even they're questioning, is this a good thing? I don't know if we'll just let it play out for us. So like after he eats the jerk at the studios, everyone cheers. Charlie and Pim like, did we do the right thing? I don't know, Pim.
But I think like in general, that when it comes to like smelling things and that, I do kind of sort of genuinely believe that the reason why it seems to be one of those shows that, to me, in recent years, that seems to be almost like kind of flawless in that, in terms of like in terms of actually being a comedy in that, and sort of achieving what's drive out to be in that, is that kind of knows what it is in that, and doesn't try to be something that ain't in that. Because I feel like with a lot of adult comedies in that, they kind of feel like they kind of like how to sort of say it, they kind of like get a bit up in their arses a bit, like their whole shows and that, like they ends up being a comedy, but then they try to make it serious and like try to make it way too sort of lore heavy and that, and it's just like, and it just kind of like, it just sort of, I feel like it kind of sort of takes the fun out of it in that, and it's like, like it feels rare nowadays in that you actually get a comedy in that's just a comedy and that's it.
That's an interesting point. I mean, for a lot of people, even as far back as season 1, Smiling Friends was a breath of fresh air. Not only that, but a lot of shows, a few of them being on Adult Swim, but there's a few others of this kind of show, often took far too cynical an approach to the point where you just think, well, what's the point in telling us anything about how to live life authentically? And then here comes Smiling Friends saying, look, life's hard, but you can find reasons to make other lives better. And that's a rather optimistic look at life, and it's rather wholesome. You get this charity group, and they're doing their best to make other lives happy and improving their own lives as well as in the process. And the humor kind of reflects that as well, in the fact that it's a show I say, like, it is possible for you to be lighthearted, but also very shocking at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, for example, an example of, like, being lighthearted yet shocking, often, like, shock values used in a very negative sense, but here it shows, like, it's very lighthearted, but it's also very shocking. Like, in the first episode, Mr.Boss is calling up John Good and saying, oh, I need to feed. You don't mind if I... Oh, no, go ahead. Okay. Then he gets this Muppet thing to, like, suck on his nipple as he's explaining the mundane detail. You just can't help but stare at... You're just staring at this Muppet thing. It doesn't even look like it's going like... It's just like...
Yeah.
And he's like, ow! No biting! No biting! And he slows it down to make it even more awkward.
Yeah.
No biting, alright? There's another shocking but hilarious joke where Pim is running from a demon. Legitimately scary stuff. He makes it back to Smiling Friends HQ, and then the random rotoscope guy goes, dude, is that blackface? And then the demon goes, no, I'm a demon. And then they just butcher the demon, like, eat his flesh, and Mr.Boss joins, like, Halloween is saved!
And Jor's like, yeah, this is the reason why I don't dress up on Halloween.
There's other kind of shocking jokes like that, but still maintaining the lighthearted tone. It's honestly hilarious. There was a joke that made you laugh hysterically. It was in season 3. It was after they were trying to hunt down this legendary monster based on a picture they saw in the cabin.
That thing. That's just a picture of Nicole. That's an asshole. It's just brilliant. Like their expressions, like after finding that out, and that's just brilliant.
Oh man, it's so varied, and season 3 just becomes outright unhinged with its comedy, with just how bonkers it can get. We're talking like Mother Nature in stop motion, like singing a cleanup song, but every so often they're like clean, to hinting at some sinister undertones, and then they accidentally they get someone killed, and they think, what are we gonna do? Oh, you're right, we should dispose the body. Clean up. There's like the whole show's unhinged, but season 3 particularly becomes particularly unhinged. And you even get some cameos here and there, and apparently some of them are like collaborate. A couple of collaborators were actually close friends of Zach and Michael, who collaborated with them before on YouTube, and others are fairly surprisingly well-known celebrities. Like there's this one episode where Mr.Boss says, "I'm not doing anything, I'm just watching Scrubs with a certain celebrity," and then at the end credit, he's literally watching with that exact celebrity. And it was in season 2, during the Halloween episode. There's a cameo from Doug Walker, the nostalgia critic.
Oh, yeah.
That was quite a pleasant surprise to see as he was being Daniel the Demon Slayer. He was even willing to make fun of himself with the constant ads and things like that. There was also other things on the show. I mean, it's obviously animation, things like that. There was also sometimes they make they have made like a few bonus shorts in between season 2 and season 3, if I'm not mistaken. There was one where Pym tried to shrink his eyes as part of plastic surgery, but
look. And he just Charlie's just saying, "Oh no, I didn't think it was an issue before. You look worse now."
And another one where they encounter this weird flying blob thing called Roy Disney.
Yeah.
Which is obviously a reference to Roy Disney, the son of Walt Disney.
Yeah.
But they have this sort of Monty Python kind of humor where it's this weird Indian accent kind of thing. Like,
hello, I'm Walt Disney. Hello, I'm Walt Disney. Hello, I'm Walt Disney. I'm the star and there's nothing doing here. I'm just like,
hey, and they're just reacting. Oh wow, hey.
Okay, goodbye.
Goes me, wait. Where's my wallet?
Yeah.
Where's my wallet?
I saw the whole thing. What do you mean you saw the whole thing? Why did you tell us? I was just in shock of the whole thing.
There's also a strange sense of continuity which would have justified the show having some kind of closure either through season 4 or the next 2 episodes, as we'll see. There's a sense of continuity in the fact that, I mean, yeah, you could watch the episode individually, but there's a sense of continuity if you watch it from the first one all the way to the end. Like in the first episode, Alan follows a trail of evidence to suggest that someone's been stealing his precious piece of cheese. When he gets his first major hint of something beyond the wall, he goes beyond the wall, only to find that there's someone on a computer by the wall, like the wall, and he's just typing on, and then he just goes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, and Alan quits his usual voice, just speaks kind of normally, going, I'm sorry, wait, have you seen a strange video go over here? I don't know. But by the way, you should knock next time. You could be disturbing someone's premises, even though he's disturbing someone's premises.
I don't think you should be here. I don't think you're even supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got no time for this. I need to go. Okay, bye. Okay, yeah, bye. Bye.
Whatever. And then 2 seasons later, in the first episode, with the inspector, he checks through the wall. The wall guy is dead in that exact same pose. This is what happens when you commit to gooning.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh yeah, that's another thing that cracks me up. Mr.Boss just flips from different voice to different voice. I mean,
Most of the time he kind of speaks this kind of sort of chirpy, kind of American accent.
But then, just on the whim of a dime, you'll just suddenly change to this deep sour growl. or at some random part, you'll just speak normally like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Or one time he's trying to just describe a paper cut, he ends up bending his finger.
And remember remember in the Halloween episode, was there something about going into whiskey?
That is one of my favorite jokes in the entire show. Basically, Mr. Boss is describing to Pym, go get some firewood.
Okay, if you just pick some stuff at the floor, you might. It's a little sparse this time of year, but if you know what, you should be able to find something.
He leaves off the conversation on that sort of chirping. Then Pym says, yeah, that sounds easy. Then you just see Mr. Boss just flip from casual, and then in a millisecond just switch to wait! this sort of deep multi-person, and you just see his face go red. He's got this like really intense look. He just suddenly grabs Pym's shoulder. I just love just how out of nowhere it comes, and then he says, one more fire. And just the random southern drawl. Whatever you do, don't They're beyond the rickety bridge. And to add to the comedy, you know how I mentioned earlier there's a different myriad of styles they do? Well, for Mr. Boss, he usually has 4 fingers, but for some reason, like in this shot, he gets 5! And then only to cut back to him, he's got 4 again. What? Don't go to beyond the rickety bridge. But why not? Because... Get loud!
and that time when what was that place that they went to that where everything's like glitched out in that?
The Spam World.
Spam World, yeah.
that was a particularly funny episode as well, yeah.
And like and that they're in the restaurant and they're sort of meeting up with that guy, but the thing is that they can't look into his eye net.
And he's just an eyeball.
Yeah.
With limbs.
And at one point that like a mosquito and that you see sucking on his eyeball and that, and then it sort of can't help but looking at it, and then when you know he says did you look into my eye?
Like you're about to get executed. Can we see the king? And then the eye just goes,
okay.
Ding!
Oh.
After they manage to resolve things, Mr. Boss somehow able to kiss the eye. Like the eye just forms into this some shape of a mouth, and then says, "All right, everyone, no rules." But people take no rules to its logical end, completely trash the place. And again, it's one of those jokes where everyone's running at supersonic speed. Yeah. Absolutely hilarious. Also to add to the continuity, the weird Muppet thing cocoons into a butterfly. And the reason they went to Spam World was to get some magical ruby to keep him safe. Another sense of continuity, in the Christmas episode of the first season, Charlie is tested out for his lazy behavior, and he literally dies, even though the episode is called Charlie Dies Never Comes Back. He goes to hell, but then, because he made Satan smile, albeit Satan enjoys his torture, and he said, wait, I made you smile, succeeding in my task. Find the loophole, then God managed to get him out of there, and yes, he's played by Gilbert Gottfried, get it?
Yeah.
In what was, I think it was his last role before he passed on.
Yeah, I think it was. Unless there was something else, but yeah, I think it was like.
What a poetic way to end your career. And have yourself a Merry Christmas! And then Charlie gets resurrected, and then from that point onward, you see Charlie's carrying with him a cross necklace like this. There's even a point where he's reciting a prayer when he's kidnapped by aliens. Oh yeah, that was another funny part. They find out the Earth is flat.
Yeah.
I love how one of the deepest crises of Charlie and Pym isn't anything else that happens. It's finding out the world is flat and has a dome. We cannot tell everybody about this. There was another bonus episode in the first season where you really see the improvised conversation, mundane comedy be put to the fullest, where Charlie, Pym, Alan, and Glep take a holiday to Rio de Janeiro, but they end up just loitering around the airport and just not committing to going any further. It's kind of reminiscent of a Woody Allen film, the way the dialogue is set up. The way it's very naturalistic, and it actually amplifies the comedy because they're constantly interrupting each other. They'll have dialogue saying, okay, you're going to... Oh, okay, wait, what? Oh, I was just saying, okay. Oh, it's all good, it's all good. Anyway, speaking over each other and things like that. Or the first episode where Pym is telling Charlie to wait for it for this funny video, and then Charlie looks away. Oh, you missed it. Missed what? Oh, he just did a spinning thing. I just thought you'd find that funny.
Yeah, that's the other thing that Smell and Friends, I believe, sort of do very well in that. It's like very sort of related. Well, relatable sort of sort of elements in that to their to every sort of episode in that. But I kind of feel like compared to any other show that does so-called relatable stuff in that, where it feels like the meme of like how you do feel kids and that, like Smiling Prince does actually feel like they're on topic and that, you know, that they are kind of like everything's sort of like relatable and that to what you'd see happen in the real world and that.
Yeah.
You know, well, I pretty much already explained that. You know, it doesn't feel, you know, like the relatable comedy doesn't feel like forced in that. It feels like something that, you know, that you would actually see in real life and that, like what you're saying there with the phone and that.
Yes. For that and many other reasons, the show was a complete breath of fresh air compared to many other shows out there. I can't think of a single episode that I consider was bad or somewhat lesser. All of them had something hilarious to showcase or some kind of interesting character development to go along. Even though it was mainly episodic in its structure, it does reward long-time viewers in many ways, and there's a lot of replay value, especially with background gags with like this one random character who just blends in with the background and runs off at supersonic speeds. And other things like that. Every frame of the show is somehow catered to make you laugh in some way. Whether it be the way certain things are detailed, the way they're not detailed, the way certain characters are animated in these bizarre environments, or how fast certain movements are made, or just some other just random scenarios, things like that. Sometimes they'll pull off a SpongeBob SquarePants and make something hyper detailed just to establish a joke, or make something overly simplistic just to sell a joke. You get the sense that they're being professional and unprofessional at the same time.
Yeah, and it's actually quite sort of decent sort of like a friendly sort of jab in that when sort of the Simpsons made a parody in that of Smiling Prince and that, like in turn in that they made their own parody of the Simpsons.
Yes.
Boy off.
My life. Overall, I mean, the show has definitely made an impact. I mean, you have several people cosplaying these characters, and no doubt this is going to be quite the approval on Zach and Michael's CV going forward, and then some.
Yeah, well, I would say on my end in that you know that I do sort of hope, like regardless if they're able to work on any more Smiling Prince related content or not, you know, I do kind of sort of like have high hopes on whatever projects that they work on next and that.
Oh yeah.
You know, regardless if they work together or not, and that they both definitely have a lot of potential.
Oh, absolutely. As far as we're aware, Smiling Friends is the magnum opus, and they were, as much as we're saddened by them leaving it off fairly early, at the same time, they've said it themselves, we've done enough as it is, and to drag it any further would risk making it go stale, and this is our show. We don't want the show to go stale, so might as well end it there. In hindsight, that's a very wise idea, because how often is it that we get shows that started off great, but then over time they got more and more stale, like as Bilbo Baggins said in Fellowship of the Ring, like too much batter over such thin bread.
And I do have to give a lot of credit in general on that for Adult Swim, that for even sort of being able to give Zach and Michael a chance in the first place.
Absolutely, thank you so much, Adult Swim, for even doing that. I mean, we're at this day and age where we've seen time and time again, it is very much plausible and possible for YouTubers to build up their own authentic audience and then give a crack and give it a shot at making it big in entertainment. And of course, we've had some failures, like the Smosh movie and stuff like that. But at the same time, There have been some major successes like Bo Burnham's Inside, Olin Rogers' Final Space series, and in this case, Zack and Michael's Smiling Friends series.
Yeah, and also on animation as well, and that the fact that Has-Been Hotel managed to get its own series on Amazon.
I really don't like Has-Been Hotel.
Well, regardless of its reputation.
They may have been poking fun at the show in the Halloween episode at season 2. They might not have. But anyway, there could be successes for better or for worse. But thankfully, this is not only a show that succeeded, but a show that's actually beloved. And that's another thing that's actually been beneficial for Zack and Michael. I've seen a YouTube video where someone was pointing out how the comparison of reacting to their audience, how Vipsy Pop, who made Has-Been Hotel, reacted rather radically and harshly to her own audience, just trying to give her some feedback, whereas Zack and Michael have been very laid back, very open in their own response.
Yeah, and even sort of Zack himself in that had a sort of cameo voice in one of the episodes.
Right. Yeah. So there you go. It comes full circle. But either way, I'm hoping Zack and Michael keep working on some great stuff. I mean, maybe they'll just take what they've learned and make something new. But whatever they do next, as far as we're aware, Smiling Friends is a magnum opus of adult animation comedy. So to that we say thank you so much, Zack and Michael, for making the show and for making us laugh rather hysterically.
Yep, indeed. And for many more laughs to come, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zack and Michael, again. Well done. Well, absolutely well done.
Thank you.